Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Socceroos head coach.
The boss first.
Arnold.
Always the boss first. Good morning.
Former coach Guus Hiddink. So I'll start with Graham for a few opening remarks. Graham, on the game that's coming up.
Yeah, look, we're still waiting for the last couple of players to come in, but I think we've been with each other long enough now, 4.5 years, that the boys know exactly what's required when they come into camp, and to have a derby. I think the last time we played against New Zealand, that I can remember anyway, was back under Pim Verbeek, if that's correct, and so it's been a long 12 years that we haven't played New Zealand, and it's like a derby still. If we carry on like the rugby with the Wallabies and the same type of thing, so it's exciting to be able to play against them tomorrow night.
And we'll open the floor to questions, but obviously a comment on having Guus Hiddink here with us today.
From me or from him?
Yeah, from both of you.
No, look, it's obviously around the 100-year celebration, and what Guus did for our game in Australia to qualify us for the first time in 32 years was an amazing feat, and it really changed Australian football. René Molenstein, my assistant, that's normally with us, is doing scouting at the moment. He's going to watch France against Denmark tomorrow, and then go and watch France against Austria. So I just had this crazy thought one night about, bringing back a guy who mentored me and has helped me so much in my career and in my life, that maybe he would like to come out, because I knew, and I do know, how much he loved coaching the Socceroos, because we talk about it so much, but to have him out here really is a fresh set of eyes on the players, and it's part of the reason I brought in an extended squad, 31 players. We need our best for the World Cup. We need the fittest, we need the freshest, and we need the best. And I know with Guus's eye of what he has on talent, but also on the way he speaks to players, that this camp can be a real bonus for that.
It was just a word from you before we open the floor to questions. Obviously, Arnie invited you here, and you only arrived last night.
Yeah, I arrived last night, but a few weeks ago, or even longer, I got a call from Arnie, and every now and then we are in contact, but he had a specific question. He said, I want you to, no, it was not a question. He said, I want you to come. I want you to come to the game, the friendly games against New Zealand. And without any doubt, I answered in the first second, I'm coming. Because although the distance is long, but that's to overcome. Because I had beautiful experiences in the past, qualifying through South America, through Uruguay, for the first time in a few decades for Germany. And that's why I said spontaneously, I'm coming. So I'm here and I enjoy it. Not just because we are now in Australia. I said Australia was beautiful. It was. And I'm asked many times, and less because I'm retired, less and less. What was some highlights in your career besides the failures everyone has, me too. Then everyone wants to push me a bit to Chelsea or Madrid or PSV Eindhoven or in the federation. National teams towards Korea, World Cup, etc., etc. But people, you forget one, which I had a very good experience with the national team of South Korea. South
Australia.
That's Australia. South Australia, not Australia. But everyone wants to push me a little bit in that direction. But my experience with this country, with this team, with the staff was one of my highlights. And that's why I'm very happy to be back.
Happy to take some questions.
Excuse me, Graham, you've got several debutants and there are a lot of young players in your squad, but realistically, what do they have to do in 2 games to convince you to take them to the World Cup?
Well, it's just not 2 games. Obviously, them coming in to see our culture in the way that the Socceroos camp is, but also to learn our way we want to play, we expect them to play. And we're watching, they've been selected for this camp because of their form at Clubland. And, you know, for us to get to know the players even a little bit better than what we already do, but also that they've got to go back to their clubs and work hard and be in the best form of their life, because Qatar is a completely different World Cup than in the past. We only get 1 week preparation before the France game. Players have to be at their fittest, the strongest they've ever been. And, you know, so, you know, the boys will be given a chance. And again, with the training side of things, is us to learn and look at them as well. And these 2 games with a quick turnaround will give good opportunities to them.
Are you minded to take a wild card?
Sorry?
Are you minded to take someone like an Azani or a Milligan, you know, someone very young that we maybe won't expect?
Well, it's. I think the wild card has to be good enough and be able to perform. You know, there's no favours given. It's a 26-man squad, and it's got to be the 26 best players we've got, and the ones who can back up every 3 days, which is quite critical, because, you know, we can't just, you know, pick 11 players against France and then say, okay, well, now you 11 need to rest because we've got a game in 3 days against Tunisia. It's they've got to be able to back up, and this is also going to be a learning thing for me for over these next couple of games, is to see where they are physically. They've all come into camp, and I can say we've only trained once. There was only 10 players last night that could train. So tonight we'll have a much bigger group of players, but they all look extremely fit. They're no doubt listening to what we're saying, that they have to be the fittest, the lightest they've ever been, and in their best form.
Manny, with the sort of staggered arrival, and you just said a couple of guys that aren't even here yet, does it change your plans like tomorrow night about maybe if you had thought about playing maybe your best side from this, you know, from this 31 for this game here?
Yeah, look, it's something that we're still looking at. I know that every player wants to play both games. You know, at the end of the game tomorrow night, I'll be telling 10 or 11 that they're not going across to New Zealand, and those players will be upset because their mentality, and they want to take, they want to play both games to have 2 chances. But again, it's we picked the bigger squad to see a plan B or C, because, you know, if we just look at one player for each position and that player gets injured or something the week before, I won't have a plan B. So this is more about the plan B and making sure we've got those players ready.
Guus, wondering if you had an opportunity this morning to meet any of the players, what their, you know, their reaction to you being here was, and if you have any thoughts on the current squad and the players within it?
I met a few, and I met even from my squad. The one key player was Timmy Cahill this morning, and some other players who are now in the squad. Yeah, I know a bit the general mentality, the general attitude of players. Very fresh, very open-minded. They come to you, they're not shy, and that's what I like very much. I met a few this morning, and I'm curious to talk to Arnie in the upcoming hours. And I'm curious to see how they act in the 2 games.
He didn't recognise Tony Vidmar, even though he kicked the penalty with his wrong foot.
No, I don't like to talk too much about the old days, because then you get that it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's not always like that. So I don't want to go too much back in the past, because the present is now more important. But when I saw Tony, I said, oh, how could Arnie or me, as the ultimate boss, make the decision to have a penalty to reward it to you? How is it possible with your feet like this, you know? But he came on to the penalty spot, and bam, no problem. But that's when central defenders, I had an experience in my clubs and other federations as well. When you ask who likes to take a penalty in all the circumstances, and the first who are reacting are central defenders. They say, me, no problem. And they walk on, and they, bam. They have more confidence than the coach had at that time. That's nice.
Sorry, Guus, just about preparation for a World Cup. So you had South Korea, fittest team in the history of football in 2002. The guys who were involved in 2006 were still have nightmares about the physical preparation you gave them. This World Cup, they've only got 1 week
Yeah.
there. How would you?
Well, it's more complicated now because with the South Koreans, I demanded to the federation that they were getting out of their club teams obligations, so I could have them as a club team to prepare them to 2 months, at least 2 months before starting World Cup. I had them as a club team, so you could work every day with the national team, and that's why and they have the beautiful attitude. That's why we could make this team physically, mentally very, very strong, because the quality was less than European teams, but as a let's say as a machine who is causing a lot of problems to the opponent, we were so fit. That's now a bit the problem with 1 week preparation. On one hand, on the other hand, of course he did a beautiful job to qualify first, and then second he's depending a bit on the shape of how they practice in their clubs. But his eye and what he said just before, that they seem to be very fit and fresh. Fit is the physical, and the freshness in their mind. There's no doubt with Australians, they are always fresh in their mind. They fight. That was my first problem when we. If I talk too long, tell me please.
Yeah, you talk too long.
No, my first experience in Holland in a training camp was that we played 9-a-side game, and they were killing each other and I was standing there, and 2 or 3 were almost literally fighting. I said, "Arnie, what's going on here?" He said, "Oh, boss, don't worry, that's normal for us." So the spirit is always there with the Australians, and that's what I like before to work in this country as well.
Vince Grella.
And
Vince Grella.
come on. No, yeah, that's what I said. All stories are nice when you are in the pub and with a beer, but now it's now, and that's more important. But Vince Grella, he was always in the games also. I liked it very much. Playing on the edge of a yellow or a red card, and he tackled and he tackled and he tackled, and we said to him, Vince, be careful, be careful. We don't want you on a yellow card, and we have to take you off in the games. In red card, we have one man less. But okay, it went well in the World Cup. Then after that, I was in Chelsea working, and we played. Was he playing in Blackburn? I think.
Blackburn, yeah.
We played Blackburn on Stamford Bridge, and then I don't know. In the first half, minute 20, he was tackling Etienne. You know Etienne? Strong, like very strong, and he tackled, and Etienne, boop, and then he was also on the ground, and he was looking to me on the bench. My God!
I taught you that.
No, that's the spirit. I liked it very much.
Because that team that you had in 2006 was quite experienced at the highest level. I remember you said to us before the Brazil game, we're going to go and attack. This team now is younger, maybe not as experienced at that high level. How would you think they should play at the World Cup?
Well, it's a bit how your philosophy is, how you have your approach, what is your background in football. If you are a country or a football country who is relying a bit on, not on fear but on defense, then they draw back. But I think where I've worked, and also with the spirit here, it's a team who likes to play football in an attacking way. But you have to be well organized defensively. That doesn't say that you have to drop back. I don't know the team yet, but I think this team has to be well organized defensively, and then they have the spirit to harm the opponents. The approach to Brazil was the same. If you saw Brazil, the world-class players, then we can be anxious. And if you have this attitude in the team or in the squad or in the technical staff, then the team will automatically drop back. And with the class of the players they will kill you in minute 80 when it's not going well for them. Then they will kill you at the last. So I'm always in favor, hey, go and go for a good positive result in the attitude and the approach as well, tactically, strategically. Might be different when you play France, it might be different when you play Tunisia, of course, but the approach is generally is the way Australians are approaching these games is in an attacking way, I think. But I'm not in charge.
Sounds like you are.
Because I still remember footage of you telling Arnie to stop chewing his gum so he'll be on the bench during the Uruguay game. Will you be on the bench to just whisper a couple of tips to Arnie as the game goes on?
Well, in the tomorrow game, yeah, of course I'm on the bench, but I cannot tell this story. Eh?
No, he asked us. No, not this one.
I'm on the bench. I'll be his assistant, and of course we talk about the team. We do that outside the game from tomorrow as well. I like to do that. But I remember one game, maybe he remembers, when we were not playing well, whether it was in here or in Germany. Be silent. But he was sitting there. We were 1-0 down or 0-0, and the game was not going on very well. And you know the camera is on you on 90 minutes. Yeah, 90 minutes the camera is on you. And then you act a little bit normal or sometimes not normal. And he was sitting because it was not going well, this game. And he was sitting with the game like this, and the game was slipping out of our hands. He was sitting like this with chewing gum. I said, Annie, come on, sit. So that's our very spontaneous relation.
He called me Mr. Ed.
You must be proud of him to qualify.
I'm very proud. Yeah, I'm very proud of him. I had a lot because the attention is always on the main leader, but the main leader cannot do his job when he has not good colleagues to give a lot of advices. Because when I started here, of course I knew many players. But I need a lot of information from him as well, and which I got, and then you can work with that. When you have this information directly, it makes it a lot easier for me at that time. So I respect him very much, because in the beginning he said, I don't know if it's my job. Then I'm talking about years ago. But if you see how he made it in the years and with the Olympic team, etc. Chapeau.
Can I just, it's obviously 100 years as well since the first international tomorrow night. Just a little bit from both of you who have been instrumental in making the game grow here. Reflect on, the past and also hopes for the future for the game here.
Yeah, look, I think it's a wonderful achievement, wonderful night. 100 years, 624 men have only ever played for the Socceroos in 100 years, which is quite crazy when you think about it. It's an average of six people a year. So, it's going to be a great night. A lot of ex-Socceroos will be here. Fans will be here, and to have that game tonight tomorrow night as a farewell as well for the players, it's going to be fantastic as well. But for me, it's all about the performance. It's when we go back to the hotel, we'll have a technical meeting straight away and about the tactics and the game and the training this afternoon, and making sure that the boys are mentally ready for the game. But it's also, as I said, a great night for the Socceroos.
You two have such a great chemistry. Was it always like that? What was it like when you...
No, we had fights, a lot of fights in the beginning. No, we had because I knew him. I knew him from his days. And now we are talking from the very old days when there was no color television. Arnie played in Holland, as you know. As you might not know because you're all younger than we are. But he played there, and I knew him already there. And there he was, typical Australian, is fighting for every yard on the pitch, and being very efficient. So I knew him already from the time he played in Breda and in Kerkrade. So I know him from that time already. A long history we have.
Was wondering what you thought of Arnie's really brave decision in the qualifier against Peru to change.
Hey, he taught me how to do it, but he wouldn't do it. I did it.
Well, I wanted to ask you because I've read that you were thinking about making a similar change.
Yeah, but that was more acting from my side than really. I didn't have the guts to do so. He had the guts to do so.
Well, you taught me how to do it.
No, but there are the games. Sometimes you have warm up a player when a player on his position is not playing very well because they look also, oh, someone is warming up, so I have to act better. So it's those coachings games they are playing. We were playing. But you did it. I didn't dare to do it.
There was less subs in those days.
If Emerton wasn't what's the name, injured or have cramp, would you have done it?
Refresh my mind.
Okay,
Of course,
I'll
now I
refresh.
know. Yeah, you can refresh my mind as well.
Brett Emerton
Yeah, you
got a cramp in the last minute.
Yeah.
Skoko come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kalach warming up.
yeah.
And you said,
Well-
Jane, get ready for the substitution.
I have had many years to think about that, but I didn't. No, it's just a bit the game you play. I don't know. But sometimes you take decisions on intuition, and sometimes you don't because you are hesitating to do so, yes or no. But I'm not clear if I would have done it.
Graham, obviously tactically and experiences there, but are you hoping there's just intangibles that these guys can take out of having this in camp with you?
Yeah, if you there was only half a dozen players that walked in this morning for breakfast before we come here, and the look on their faces straight away said enough. You know, it's they have the method in. Also, my madness was it was a generation. Those kids our players now were probably 6 to 10 years of age in 2006, and they all idolised him. We've got an amazing photo that we will show him later with one of our players that from that, you know, with what he did for the game, but also our players idolise the Cales, the Kules, and that's they're their heroes. So, you know, when you look at their faces, even the staff members' faces, you know, to have Guus here, and but you know, as I said, this is the last part of the bit of banter. When we go back to the hotel, it's business. It's, you know, we got a game to play, and it's a derby, and it's it's an important game for the players. So the most important thing is the mentality of the players is right. They don't see it as a party. It's Guus will drive some strong messages to the players today and tonight about, you know, what he's achieved and what it takes to achieve success at a World Cup and drive those messages so the boys are on song tomorrow night.
That's why I was emphasizing not to go back in the romantic time and appear that things were good because you have to work for that, and that's why I like to tell some story from the past, but I hope, and there is always a relation to the present, and that's why I think in what I can help for the few days I'm here, I'm glad to do so.
All right, we're going to wind it up there. We're going to move out onto the pitch for some